y'all make sure y'all share this video and make sure y'all subscribe to All Viral Access Media. You know the vibes.
They thought we forgot, but we never forget. This one's for the rules. We built this land from dust and tears, 400 years, and we still here. They write new rules, but they don't see. Every freedom they got came off you and me. We planted seeds, they took the bloom. We lit the flame, they left the room. But we back now, know the skies. The spirits woke, we realize all we want is what we earn. That sweat and blood, yeah, that table turn. You can't buy culture, can't fake that fight. This is our day, this is our ride. We FBA. Say it loud, say it strong. We the heartbeat that's been here all along. Foundational Black Americans, stand tall. We ain't begging for nothing, we built that all. Born from pain and grace, you can see the truth written in our face. We the soul, the sound, to fight the flame. Foundational Black Americans, say our name. They love our rhythm, but they dodge our blues. Use our voice when it fits their news. They take our sound, but not our scars. We the backbone, we the scars. Now the veil is gone, the mask is clear. We see the game, we know what's here. No more silence, no more lies. We lift that flag and watch it rise. Rise up. We the ones that made this nation breathe. Our pain turned to power. Our roots are trees. We know world is rhythm and grace now. And now we reclaiming our rightful place. Can't copy courage, can't steal pain. You can't inherit soul by changing names. Our story ain't done, it's the revival. We guard the gate, it's about survival. We FBA, say it proud, say it loud. The world dances on what we vow. Foundational Black Americans, still we stand, still we fight, still we demand. Every block, every song, we've been right here all along. The soul of a people strong and free. Foundational Black Americans. We the first, we the rule, we the fire. Still rising, still here. Foundational Black
Good evening, everyone. Hope everybody is doing well. They keep saying wait, divide, delay, but foundational Black Americans are standing on business. Our ancestors built this country, and lineage-based reparations are not up for negotiation. Tonight, we're exposing the sabotage and demanding accountability. Buckle up, get ready, and welcome to another edition of Thorough Black Talk. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing? Hope everybody is doing well. Brother Tad, give me the thumbs up when you are ready, good brother. My good brother from another mother for sure. The OG Wisdom Podcast and Tad Talks up on the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening, brother?
Peace, sis, peace. My mic on, check 1, 2. How you feeling, sis?
Good, brother, good. Glad we Black, better than ever, doing our thing, growing each day, and nothing can stop us.
And that is a fact. That is a Black history fact. How's your week been going so far, sis?
Good. You know, the Knicks swept, the Cavs, and we ready for the next round. New York about to turn up.
Yeah. I heard it all the other night when they won. For those who don't know, Brother Tad is not a sports fan. I don't watch sports. I just read my books, drink my water, and mind my business. That's it.
There you go. I only pay attention during the playoffs, you know, when we winning. If we ain't winning and we ain't in the playoffs, I don't pay attention. So that's how
everybody's excited. Look, that's how I'm gonna celebrate when they cut them checks. Then you're gonna see me out in the streets. Until then,
acting a fool.
Acting a mother-loving fool. Acting a mother-loving fool. Give me a truckload of Newports, a box of 40s.
He can't help himself, y'all. Just pray for my brother.
I can't.
Pray for my brother. Let's get some shout outs real quick. Big Russ, family Philly in the building. What's happening? What's happening? Can't wait till you get back on this side of town, cuz. Can't wait till you get back on this side of town. I am a mirror. B1 family, hope all is well with you. Our sister Tanisha Murdoch, one of our regular sponsors of Thorough Black Talk Worldview. Yeah. Shout out to her. Black Rose. What's happening? That HR 40 is a study, not reparations. And the CBC is the telecaucus doesn't benefit FBA. That is a fact. And we're going to peel back the layers. We're going to peel back the layers tonight. Sister Brooke and Brother Devon will be joining us shortly because we're going to talk about, you know, the recent New York State Reparations Commission hearing that took place last week in Hempstead, New York. So they coming in with the 1-2. And of course, you know, Thorough Black Talk, we have some history facts. We taking it back to Cali House tonight. Tonight, I'm going to show y'all over 300,000 members of that mutual fund and fight for reparations. I have the archives. I have the names. I have the slave owners. I have the presidents. I have the chapters. All of that tonight, we're going to show y'all. So buckle up and get ready. Share the live. Good evening, Kimberly. What's happening? Good evening, B1, and salute to you, Andrea Jones. What's good? Oh, Marie, what's good? Love you to life. We'll chop it up tomorrow for sure. Let's give a shout out to Sylvia Durant. What's happening? Blessings to you. Our sister from another mister, Farnessa, Alabama, on the check-in. What's good? You know, Sister Farnessa, she don't play about the lineage. She don't play. She be going in over there on TikTok. So she don't play around with the lineage for sure. And of course, joining us very soon, our very own U.S. Freedmen Project President, Brother Devon, will be coming in a little later as well. Ray, what is that, 1998, 19998? What's happening? Sister Marie, Be More Family on the check-in. What's happening? Glad you rocking out with us. Yes, indeed. So, let's get into it. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Yes, I did. Uncle Jess, what's happening?
Yeah.
We'll chop it up tomorrow. For sure. So, let's get in here, family. Of course, we like to start out with some Black history facts. You know what I mean? We like to pull up them facts first before we get the night started. So let's play this and we'll come right back.
Know that Black Americans have a rich history of innovation and creativity. In the late 1800s, a time when the country was still healing from the Civil War, Black Americans were filing patents at record levels, showcasing their ingenuity and determination. Despite being just a few decades out of slavery and facing immense social and economic challenges, Black inventors were innovating at a pace that shocked the world. Their contributions were groundbreaking and transformative. From home appliances that made daily life easier to industrial machines that powered the economy, their ideas shaped American life in profound ways. And yet most people don't even know their names. In fact, no other oppressed group anywhere in the world filed more patents than Black Americans during that time. This is a testament to their resilience and brilliance. We weren't just labor. We were inventors, creators, and visionaries, builders, innovators, geniuses. Black history isn't just about struggle, it's about innovation, creativity, and progress. Brilliance, power, legacy. Follow for more untold Black stories and discover the incredible contributions that have shaped our world.
Gotta love it. You know, so many
Yeah.
darts are thrown at us, but when you look throughout the brown world, we are the most successful, right out of indentured and slavery, right out of it. Even during our time of enslavement, we were inventors and we were progressive. So, you know, when other people come on these panels and say disrespectful things about the lineage or don't show proper respect, that's problematic. So we're going to set it off over here. We don't play no games. Your thoughts, Brother Tad, on our greatness, you know, as those of us here from North America, the United States of America, the greatness that we were able to produce, not only right after slavery, but during our time in bondage as well.
I tell you, man, we are divine by design. You know, as I'm watching it, I'm remembering that we were not allowed. We were allowed to submit patents and get patents, but we weren't allowed to own the products. You know, we had to use white folks. And I say that because I remember growing up in our generation, what it meant to be Black was that we were victims. And seldom did they tell us all of the dope stuff we did. It was just like, y'all was in Africa, white folks came, Abraham Lincoln freed y'all, and Martin Luther King, and y'all live happily ever after. But they don't talk about how we were so instrumental in developing this country, not just in the engineering with Benjamin Banneker in Washington, D.C., not with us literally building the White House, not with us creating the almanac, and all the other things that this country is known for. Not just us winning the wars, foreign and domestic, all of the greatness that we've contributed, white folks took the credit for it. But then again, when our grandparents and great-grandparents said that many of us were here prior to what's known as the Mayaffa, the Great Suffering, the transatlantic slave trade, you know, so much is buried and we're uncovering it now because we are now literally in the information age. So for people to have this information and not be able to pivot is hurtful. But at the same token, it gives me a greater joy in who I am and who we are because we see now that we've done some dope shit. We are not victims. Everything that we have is because of our ingenuity, because of our resilience, you know, our audacity to have tenacity. The fact that we never took nothing lying down, even this day and age, many of us who come from the Pan-African movement, who have disagreements with brothers and sisters from the organizations we were once a part of. Some of us still got love. Some of us, the line is in the sand. But nonetheless, I know that you and I, Sister Keisha, and those in the audience, because we got a super dope audience. You know, I always say we got the intelligent, sophisticated audience. We have a level of intelligence to know that when we get new information, we got to operate on that new information. Everybody running with old school information from 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 2,000 years ago. And all of this information has its place. But what are we going to do with it now? We got to show this to our children because our children are buying into the idea that we're victims. And you're only a victim when you submit to the will of other people trying to oppress you. But when you resist, when you say, nah, I ain't going for that, you become a freedom fighter. And that's what we want to raise. We want to raise generations of freedom fighters, people who don't take no for an answer, people who stand up for what they know is rightfully theirs. And with that, I yield.
Got you, brother. A shout out to Brother Peace, Sister Pat on the check-in. And of course, we thank y'all for those of you who catch the playback. The playback game is the team for sure. We definitely appreciate y'all. And please share the live. And of course, if you get a chance, shoot over to OG Wisdom Podcast and make sure you subscribe to that channel as well.
Yeah.
And oftentimes too, Brother Tad, it's not new information, but it's hidden information, right? With the Freedom of Information Act, more and more documents are being released every day. More research books are being produced every day that challenges those of the past. For example, even some of the things that some of our great warriors from the past have mentioned. Some people may have said, there were millions who came to these shores. But, with recent data and more concrete facts, even a book entitled The Black New Yorker that was produced by the Schomburg Museum, and they confirmed too, if only about 500,000 came to these shores, and even that number is being challenged by various historical institutes. So, to stay in a position that is antiquated and even that is challenged with concrete information and data really shows your level of intelligence. I never claim to know it all. I am a student forever. I'm always learning every day. I find more and more information and I share it with those that I know and on our social media platforms. So tonight, one of the things that I am going to share with the family is an archive of about 700 pages. And that's minute, with a total archive of about 300,000 pages. So tonight I'm going to share about 700 with the family that you all can comb through at your own leisure, just to look through some of the people who were fighting for reparations for the descendant of freedmen. Okay? For the descendant of freedmen. And I don't want people to get confused by any of that. Let me just show you something real quick. Here's a book that I found in the archives. Let me see if I can expand it a little bit. Can you see that title there?
Yes.
It says The Freedmen Monthly Journal. Freedom, Industry, Education, and Christian Morality in the South. And this is the May edition, and it was published in 1866. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We long identified who we were or who we are. But, during the 70s, I would say up until the early 2000s, we moved with a paradigm, believing context that we all came from Africa. But documentation shows other than that. For example, here in New York, when the Dutch arrived, they only brought 11 Angolans. Now, you mean to tell me that 11 Angolans did the brush, produced the roads, and all of that here in the state of New York, which has a total, I believe, 67 counties or 62 counties. But how is that possible? And when I go to these hearings or listen to these hearings that Sister Brooke and Brother Divine is going to expound upon in a few, but they often continuously focus on an African narrative, right? And that's wrong. It's false. It's false. And more documentation shows that the majority of people who were enslaved on these shores, and I'm talking about written law, and I'll show this on this program many times, that the law said the people who were enslaved were mulatto, Negro, and Indian. And Brother Ted mentioned the book, bullwhip days. And I would encourage those of you who are interested in hearing a particular narrative from those who were enslaved already on these shores. They talk about the Africans who came. They talk about them being a different people, you know. So don't say we said it. The people who were actually there are telling you that those were different people, that they weren't us. So I would encourage, at your leisure, check that out. Bullwhip Days, okay? Through the recommendation of our brother.
The slaves remember. Yes, the bullwhip days, the slaves remember.
Yes, indeed. So when I say, people are saying things on these panels that are disparaging to our lineage, let me just play this clip and we'll bring in our sister Brooke right after that. Hold on, family. Give me a second.
Black America doesn't understand is this, right? Black America, hear me, hear my voice. You guys don't have what the rest of the diaspora has. Something very valuable that the rest of the diaspora has and you don't. You know what that is? A nation.
Is facing a food crisis that is bigger and more complex than it has ever seen before. Conflict and climate change are the main culprits. 500,000 children's lives are at risk from a looming famine in Somalia, according to the UN, more than anywhere else in the world. It also says 1 in 5 Africans, a record 278 million people, were already facing hunger in 2021, but warns the peak of the hunger crisis hasn't been seen yet. Conflicts are also worsening across the continent. It's long been a driver of hunger, forcing people from their homes, livelihoods, and farms, while making it dangerous to deliver assistance.
You're not recognized as a nation of people. You're just the Black community.
Here's what most outsiders miss. About 90% of Port-au-Prince is controlled by armed groups, not the state. So the government lacks control over territory, security, and movement. When leaders are chosen inside a hotel while the population lives under siege, legitimacy collapses. You can't hold elections without safety, govern without control, or build democracy while people are excluded. Haitians are skeptical not because they reject democracy, but because democracy without security is just symbolic.
Regardless of your accomplishments, regardless of your successes, you are still the face of crime, the face of poverty, the face of illiteracy, the face of laziness, the face of welfare. For some reason, this country has made you that, and they cast that image of you all over the planet. They told everybody in Africa what you were. They told everybody in Europe what you were.
But for a brief second, I actually want to talk about how great Black America is. I know, you might be pleasantly surprised, because I've always seen Black America as a cultural force like none other. It's kind of hard to really quantify their impact, but you see it every day in all corners of the world, from the way that people dress, to the usage of AAVE, to the music and art that people consume, to the constant imitation of everything Black Americans do. Global and dominant cultural cachet Black America has cannot be overstated. Their culture is the most imitated, referenced, commodified, monetized, and mimicked form of Blackness in the world. And that is an undeniable fact.
The stigma is what's defeating Black America right now. And the only thing that's going to defeat the stigma is you redefining yourself as a nation. Other than that, you're getting beat out by people with national representation. That's why somebody could come here from Nigeria, Kenya, Guatemala, Honduras, because they have a nation's namesake to support them and back them up.
To research by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, 20.16 million Kenyans are living in poverty. And out of those, 16 million cannot afford basic food needs. And around 3.6 million of those are living in abject poverty. Now, since 2021, at least 1.1 million Kenyans have sunken into poverty due to inflation in the economy and high rates of unemployment. Now, high cost of living has been a high contribution to these devastating statistics. A majority of these people, however, live in the rural areas, accounting for 15 million people, and the rest are city dwellers. Now, this just goes to show you how bad things look out there. People are desperate for jobs and looking to put food on their tables.
That's why somebody could come here from Nigeria, Kenya, Guatemala, Honduras, because they have a nation's namesake to support them and back.
Crazy work.
Oh boy.
Crazy work. Crazy work. But even documentation proves this pan goofy wrong.
Yeah.
Just running off at the mouth with no backed evidence. But when you pull up back evidence of these folks who he claims have a nation, they are failing. They are failing everywhere they come from. That's why they flee. So, I'm not with the BS. And I played this so y'all can see the foolishness that goes on. Let me answer Sister Marie's question. She said, so let me ask you, there are beltways here in Maryland, and I see they have the name Freedmen. I'm pretty sure that those beltways were once freedmen communities. And I would encourage you to look through your state's archive, and I guarantee you'll find some information, because names are not just there out of nowhere. It has significant meaning. Sometimes they can be changed, and other times they cannot. So it's possible that there were freedmen communities in those areas in which you described, but there was an edict where the name can never be changed. So it is kept there. So I don't know. I would encourage you to check your state's archives. Sis said TikTok is tether infested. I don't have the patience for them. Absolutely. For unnecessary, she's sick and tired of them. It's just a fact. Just projection. And it's crazy work. Some of the babble that comes out of these folks' mouths. And, Brother Tad, that's why, one of the reasons why you and I had to step off from some folks, because they just babbling, you're not progressive, and you're hateful towards a nation in which you reside. You ain't leaving, and if you do leave, you're moving to Canada or somewhere else, but you ain't going back to your homeland.
Another European nation.
They ain't going back,
No.
They may go visit, but they're coming back over here quick. They ain't giving up that blue passport.
And the kicker too, sis, is a lot of them talking that and don't even go back to the continent. They don't go to the motherland and put the information in its proper context. They just rely on the words of those who have been. Well, I heard in Africa. And let me tell you, every place is nice to visit at some point. But then it comes a point where you really got to let reality kick in. Real quick on dude, I hate when people say we don't have a nation. This is our nation.
Facts.
We're not in denial. Like, we're Black Americans. And again, we're foundational Black Americans, which means we've been here when this nation was built. We are the builders of this nation. And in fact, some of our family has been here before the building of this nation. But where are you running to? You running to our community? No, you're running to our nation. You're trying to be a citizen just like the rest of us, but we're natural born citizens. And this is the kind of rhetoric that I was getting tired of, because we weren't having honest conversation within these spaces, within the movement. All you had to do was sound angry, loud, and have a conviction to your statement. Whether you're right or wrong, people accept it as truth. And that's the problem we have. Even sis, when you was talking about the millions, when we say the millions, ain't that the same thing the small hats do? We'll call the small hats out for saying the millions when there's proof and documentation that it wasn't millions. But here we regurgitate the same rhetoric and think we're going to get different results. And that's what I'm saying about this movement, man. They just mirroring who they call the quote unquote ops. They mirror the very people they say they fighting against. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water. They get hot, you be cool. They get dumb, you get smart. It's that simple. And what they're angry about is we not kicking no rhetoric. We really doing tangible things that could really change the trajectory of this country based on what we do. Because I'm tired of people talking about our cultural influence. Yeah, we know we the shit. We know we got swag. But talk about our genius too. Talk about that part. We opened the show with Black inventors. Come on, talk about our scientists. Man, I'm just tired of these people. That's why I don't even argue with them no more. Didn't argue with them then. I don't argue with fools. I just ignore them or block them. That's it. Because I know what we doing.
There you go.
And
Just let them
I'm
go
off my
ahead.
soapbox.
You just gotta let them go ahead. Say, go ahead. All right. All right. Have a nice life. We moving on over here. Let me get Brother Black up on the Brooklyn Bridge. Brother Black, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Gotta unmute, brother.
Where my FBA at? Where my ADOS at? Where my people at? Where the bridge at?
I don't know where ADOS at, but the Freedmen is over here.
Where the Freedmen
at? I don't know where they at, but we over here. Good to see you,
gang at?
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Same here, y'all. Same here. Peace.
What up, Brother Black?
Peace.
How's things in the fifth dimension?
Oh man, we getting it in. We got crystal chakras shooting at your pupils. And when I say pupils, I mean your eyes. I don't mean your students.
Yeah.
I wish you was here a little earlier, Brother Black, but we're gonna try to circle back a little later to the Bronx because some things that you have been talking about have now become mainstream. So I wanted to touch on that. Maybe we can circle back. We'll circle back.
Yeah. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere.
Let's get our sister Brooke up on the Brooklyn Bridge, who ain't playing at these commission hearings, boy. She ain't playing at all. At all. And people try to get slick, because, I had a family thing this past weekend, so I couldn't be there. So people thought it was okay to pull up on sis. But she don't be playing with folks. I don't know why people play with her. She don't listen. For those who don't know, and Tad, your friend was at the last hearing, the Puerto Rican dude that you wanted to tighten up in the Bronx. Tad said,
Hey, security. Before you get Sister Brooke on, let me ask you a question, Sister Keisha. What about dark-skinned Puerto Ricans? Because Puerto Rico is United States territory. Are they figuring into this? I'm just asking.
Not one bit. Not one bit. They belong to Spain. Have a nice life. With the Spanish. Stay over there with the Spanish. That's who brought you. That's who you repping. That's who you is. You didn't build it. You became a territory later. So stay over there with those folks. But anyway, with these hearings, they try you. And, I said to Sister Brooke and Brother Devon a long time ago that this Democratic Party, they're slithery, they're snakish, and they're diabolical. 110%. And they will try to use folks, in a way that seems like they're beneficial to you, but of course they are not. And also tonight, we're going to pull back the layers on some of these commission members. How did they get their position on the commission? I'm not playing with their asses. Don't mess with my sister, because I'm coming for you. So since I wasn't there, you can get that ass spanked tonight. Sister Brooke, welcome to the Brooklyn Bridge. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
Hello. Hi. First let me say hello to everybody. Hi, Brother Black. How you doing? Hi, OG Ted. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Sister Brooke.
And hi to my big sis Keisha, who often has to hold me back at these hearings, but she wasn't there, so everybody got that smoke. See, that's the thing. Y'all thought See, they tried to catch me when you wasn't around, and they tried to catch me when Divine wasn't around, not knowing that y'all the ones that be like, calm down. Calm down. I didn't have the calm down people with me. Okay, at those times, Divine was there, but every time he walked away, went to the bathroom, went to go talk to somebody else, that's when these things happen. He missed all, like the cartoons that I put out. He missed all of that. He wasn't there for none of it, right? He was in the bathroom. He was politicking. You know, our president Divine is always having important conversations, and so that left me free to read people their rights. And so, and Sister Keisha wasn't there to touch on my knee and be like, shh, 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 shh. So everybody got that work. And so, they sadly thought that because, you weren't there, that I was the one to play with. When y'all hear me online in these rooms and I am being loving and kind to our family, that is because I am being loving and kind to our family. When it comes to enemies, honey, I am Brooklyn all day.
Holla.
Don't get it twisted. And a couple of people had to find that out.
The hard way?
The hard way. They got embarrassed. Had to go home, pack it up, roll the show.
I would say the Brook way.
Look, Brook is short for Brooklyn. That's where it came from because I lived out of state for a little bit and everybody just called me Brooklyn. So I just flipped the spelling. You know what I mean? So that's how that happened. But, like people are sadly mistaken. And let me tell you something. When I tell y'all, foes, whether foreign or domestic, family members, don't think you can't, you know what I'm saying? You start coming against what we're doing and against the lineage. Don't think you can't get it too. Now, I may not. My mother taught me that you're not supposed to handle family business in public, but behind the scenes, where you could get it too. And I'll just land there. And they have Keisha heard on a Zoom call. I will give you the business. Now I ain't said nothing I haven't said much. I said a little bit. I haven't said much. But on that private Zoom call, it was foot to ass.
It was.
I love it.
She ain't playing when she said all enemies, foreign and domestic. She mean
I mean that. And I'm gonna look out for my people. Like,
but before we get started, I want to handle business first because this is pivotal.
Yes. Send those emails. We got 9 days left, right? Because my countdown is like 2 weeks. It's 3 weeks left in the session, but we're gonna need at least a week for it to get through the assembly. Send these emails, right? I'm trying hard to remain positive, but we only got 9 days left in this session. 9 days left for, you know what I'm saying, or 2 weeks left now. I think it's 2 weeks now. 2 weeks left in the session, right? And so we got about a week to send these emails. And Senator Sanders, I'm gonna be honest. This is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask questions. Senator Sanders, did you sign on as a co-sponsor of this bill to do the very same thing that what's his name in California? I always forget his bald-headed name. Isaac Bryan did in California? So that when it comes time to bring it for a vote, you could sit on it like a goose egg? Is that why you signed on to this bill? And I was gonna say something. He is a foundational Black American, by the way. Did you sign on to the bill just so you could not bring it up for a vote so it could get stuck in the finance committee to where it is right now? Is that why you did that, sir? Will we? I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to talk strategy.
What's your nickname for him?
Seersucker Soup.
That tells you all you need to know.
You know what? You ain't lying. You
And you
ain't
know Bernie
lying.
Sanders was born. And you know Bernie Sanders was born in New York, in Brooklyn, right? In particular.
Not Bernie Sanders, James Sanders.
Oh,
I say he was a foundational
bad,
Black
my
American.
bad.
Bernie Sanders ain't no foundational Black American. He
Got
ain't
the
even
Brooklyn
Black.
business. Black.
No, you said
Got
when you said
Brooklyn
Senator
business.
Sanders, that's who I thought you
Yes,
were talking
Senator
about.
James Sanders of Far Rockaway and parts of Queens. Okay, James Sanders. Let's make sure. I wish I had a picture of his sis sucker suits. Slimy. Let me not say nothing else.
I'm gonna put a picture of him in the chat.
I need you to bring this bill for a vote, Senator Sanders. So that's what these emails are for, to try to demand. And here's the thing. He's running unopposed. And that's why I'm asking these questions. You know, did you sign onto this bill just so you could not bring it for a vote? So you could repeat what Isaac Bryan did in California? It's just a question, because it seems like it. It definitely seems like it. It feels like it. I'm having deja vu. So send these emails. Like I said, but I will say this, right? I'm not going to say anything negative about our bill, even though we kind of see what's happening. But I'm not going to say nothing negative because I can't bring myself to do it. But President Devine says all the time about how it took the AAPI 10 years to disaggregate their numbers. So even if ... because you know I ain't gonna say it. Even if ... we are still ahead of the game. We can't let James Sanders or anyone else make us feel defeated, depleted, and we must continue. And the fact that, because let me tell you something, when they just gave the Reparations Commission extension of 2 more years, we got 2 more years of this unconstitutional rigmarole bullshit.
You know that's a scam.
It is. They are trying to wear
us
us down. We've been at every single hearing. One of us have been at every single hearing. They're trying to tire us out, but we cannot get tired. We cannot get weary. We have been here 400 years. We can't let the AAPI community outwork us. It took them 10 years. We can't let that happen. So if it takes us 10 years, it takes us 10 years. And I don't believe that it will take us that long. I believe it'll be a lot faster than that. And we will have no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. We will partner with whoever we need to get our work done. And so, you know, I also want to just acknowledge the fact that President Devine and the U.S. Freedmen Project has gotten a letter of support from the AAPI community. And I want to remind everybody that President Devine met with 50 African and Caribbean organizations, or he sent them letters, just like he'd sent to the AAPI community. He sent 50 African and Caribbean organizations in New York letters requesting support. And guess how many responded? Not gave a letter of support, just responded.
Tell us.
0.
None. But the AAPI not only responded, had multiple conversations, but gave a letter of support of our delineation disaggregation bill. Let that sink in your spirit, family. Let that sink in.
So when they say, you know, we all Black, we need to work together. That don't hold weight over here, huh?
That means they want to, as in the words of our great sister Keisha, they want to lean on us and us not get anything in return.
Let's get the U.S. Freedmen Project president, Brother Devon, up on the Brooklyn Bridge. You ready, brother? Welcome, Brother Devon, to the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooke just dropped a bomb, letting the folks know that we got a letter of support from the AAPI group who have been working for 10 years trying to disaggregate their numbers and finally gave them some headway. However, all of these African, Caribbean, South American, pan-goofy organizations, they didn't even respond. Can you speak to that, brother?
Yeah. First and foremost, let me just say, in honor of what's going on and the people going crazy around the city, whether they be real New Yorkers or the ones that came in the transplants, we orange and blue skies, baby. It's the orange and blue skies.
Let me find out you ain't a Knicks fan is right down the block from you.
Oh, listen. I support all New York teams. Let's be clear. I'm a Brooklyn boy, but come on, the Knicks was here before while Brooklyn was New Jersey. So we got to keep.
If you ain't from uptown, you consider the Nick Tether. You got a team right down the street.
Yo, that is hilarious because I've heard the tellers actually using that same talking point. That is hilarious. They're gonna copy everything we do. No shade to Black. But yeah, man, I think it's man. Listen, it's very very interesting because in the words of our great icons that the Pan Goofies claim to revere, right? We're gonna have no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. And what we're finding is that those we thought had permanent interests have actually decided to be permanent enemies. Because whenever you have a winner, there's gonna be a loser. And those same groups that the Pan-Africans told us was our brothers and sisters from another mother land have decided that they only want to win when we lose.
That's right.
And it's just unfortunate. And the longer you are in this space doing the work that we are doing, two things become evidently clear. That the U.S. Freedmen Project was always needed, and the U.S. Freedmen Project didn't exist until the U.S. Freedmen Project was created. And it's very sobering at times, to be perfectly honest. But I just thank God, I thank the ancestors, I thank the family that we build, and that's going to be a perfect segue into the love that I was able to feel last Friday when I got a chance to meet my extended family through the OG sister Keisha.
Mm-hmm.
And to come across her family that embraced me like I was their family and made sure I didn't want for nothing while I was there. It was just an amazing feeling. I'll say one story. And I'm not saying the API are our family, so let me be clear. Because it's still on the no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interest. But what I will say is that it's a beautiful thing when you find your family and you find those that are willing to be allies to you and your family. And I was talking to Sister Keisha's grandson, and I was hyping him up for his content and the things that, he's been involved with already at his young age. And he said to me that's something that's stuck with me since he said it, and it's going to stick with me until the day I'm no longer sticking here. And he said, "Oh man, you saw me on those shows?" I said, "Yeah, you're a celebrity." And he said, "That's crazy." He said, "You just finding out today that we part of the same family? And I said, yeah, Pharaoh, I'm just finding out we are part of the same family. I said, but we ain't never gonna forget it from this day forward. He said, yeah, we never gonna forget it. And that's what is the most beautiful thing about this work to me, is that we're building the family that's needed. We're building the coalition that's needed. We're building the community that's needed. We're building back that village that's needed. Because again, doing this work, what we found out is those that they placed at the gates of our community, of our coalitions, of our political reality and political future, they were never working for us. And as we're pushing this Foundation Black American Renaissance forward, because they've never had any honor, they've never had any integrity, instead of stepping down and just getting out of the way and going somewhere quiet to deal with all the harm that they've known they have caused us, they're fighting us every step of the way to maintain the power that they have been bestowed from outside of our community to control and quell and subdue and sabotage our community. And that's where the real fight is. And that's why you can get someone that's from an outside community that says, hey, you know what? That just makes sense. We did it for us. Yeah, let's let them do it for you. While those that are of the ones that we're fighting to get it done for us are the same ones saying, no, we don't need it, and making up excuses and doing the stalling tactics and still doing the bidding of left-wing white supremacy. Because let's be clear, I was told by a very high-ranking Democrat in New York, and I'll never forget this either. He said the Republicans don't run nothing but their mouth in New York. And that is 100% true. But here's the other side of that coin. Since they don't run nothing in New York, all the wins and all the losses are on you. And so when you try to push this back, not even try, when you vote to push this commission back another 2 years and try to blame it on the Republicans and Donald Trump in the White House, the Republicans don't run nothing but their mouth in New York. So that means the decision was all yours, Democrats, to push this back another 2 years that were not ever needed in the beginning, in the first place.
Absolute facts. You know, first let me say thank you to Sister Brooke and Brother Divine for coming and supporting my family, which is now their extended family. Let me say it again live on the air. Pharaoh wants a date, Brooke. But anyway. But anyway, I just want to say thank y'all for that, because, you know, everybody we bring around our family, friends, you know, they always say they feel so welcome when they come around us, that they now are part of the tribe. You know, we don't bring people around the family who can't be around the tribe, because then we get in trouble for that, right? They're going to come look at us, you know. So if you and Sister Brooke wasn't on the up and up, and I bring y'all in that family, then I'm going to get the heat for it, right? So we got to be careful who we bring around. But as you said, you know, even when we were taking photos at the repast, you know, Brother Divine, you know, he stepped off to the side, and the family is like, where you going? Get these pictures. Get these pictures. So again, you know, thank y'all for doing that, because you didn't have to. But we definitely appreciate y'all for doing that. Make sure you send make sure you send those emails. It's very important. Please share it on your social media platforms. You can repost what we share on your social media platforms as well. Let's get your family and friends to send those emails, because the Democratic Party is diabolical in how they operate. And, you know, they try to be slick. They try to be real slick with it. But, you know, we are very creative in how we attack, right? Using verbiage, we are very creative. And so, you know, I told y'all about Miss Wig. a couple of shows back. Now she's at every hearing, and I'm not just saying Miss Wig because she wear a wig, but that wig is harder than James Brown working.
And it flies.
It go every which way but loose. Then she be wearing these dresses that look like little dollies on old white lady couches. She be looking crazy, and she talk crazy. She talk crazy, and shout out to Brother Melrose. I'm gonna play a clip of his a little later because when he posted his video of him stopping people who were passing out information about reparations from the National Urban League, who both Dr. Chanel Hawkins and Jennifer Jones Austin are a part of. Yeah, I realized I knew that Spanish lady from somewhere. Where do I know her from? But you know, my little brain start tingling. You know, pull up an old video.
Oh, I can't wait.
She was at the Staten Island hearing, sitting on the left side of me.
Oh,
where she come from? Remember, she was with that whole group.
The New Yorkers for reparations.
Bang, bang. That's where she from. So,
wow, yo, Keisha,
y'all in cahoots together because a lot of these folks are being paid, not the commission, but those who they hire out. Right? So these people ain't walking out in the street for nothing, handing out information. Some random Hispanic woman who could barely speak a lick of English and an Asian woman. So when I mentioned to what's her name, Miss Reed, who's the head of the what do you call it, communications part of the commission, when I mentioned Dougie Diamonds, I want him to get some of that bread. Who the hell is the Amsterdam News and these people you got walking out on the street handing out information? You rather pay them immigrants than a foundation.
And even speak English.
That's a problem for me, you know. So the next hearing, I'm giving them this work. Here we go. So Sister Brooke created these animated cartoons just to give y'all a little backstory before we start going in and I'll start sharing some of the videos that we have. All right. So hold on, hang tight. Here we go.
Dr. Cody walks down the aisle, fake smiling at everybody and saying hello in the auditorium. I'm not good at being fake, and I never speak to her. So I said, we don't speak, and you don't like me, and I don't like you. So let's not be fake. She goes, but you are a human being. I said, as she's walking towards the other side of the auditorium, I said, you're the human being trying to steal my reparations. She says, I'm Black American, as she walks away. I said, then you're allowing other people to steal our reparations. So by this time, she all the way on the other side of the auditorium. She decides to bring her happy behind crooked wig back over there and says, and comes up, start talking passively aggressively about me to other people around, saying, you know, some people are going to ruin reparations for us indirectly. I said, well, you are directly trying to render our reparations unconstitutional, and you know it. She says, you're going to hurt reparations. She just keeps saying it. And she says, I'm not the enemy. I kept saying, you're making it unconstitutional. And as long as you are in the way of my reparations, me and you will have problems. If you stop trying to make reparations unconstitutional, then me and you won't have no problems. She keeps saying, you're going to hurt reparations. I was like, if you and your crooked wig get out my way, won't be no problems. And then she ran away, and I think she left at that point. Send those emails multiple times a day. We only got 10 days left.
So, who is she talking about when she talk about this Dr. Cody person? Hold on. Sorry about that.
Is it on? Oh, yay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I was like, how did they find all that out? Forgot I sent my bio. Thank you so much, commissioners. And as Dr. Jenkins said to me earlier, I want to give it right back to each of you. I appreciate each of you because I know it's not easy, but keep doing what you do. So now.
Y'all see how hard that wig was? You see how hard that wig is? All right, let's keep going.
Can start the clock. After that. My presentation, is it up yet? Well, while we wait on the presentation, I'll give my opening message. In our core, Black people are the most harmless, creative, and majestic people on earth. This is our ethos, this is our essence. And the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members, and that is our children. This is a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. The education system here in the United States is mediocre at best.
Okay, let's pause here. She started off all wrong. Let me just say that she is a part of the National Action Network, and she's also a part of that group, New Yorkers for Reparations. Now, if you went through other shows that we've had on here, I mentioned that they got some of everybody in that group, including the two who was handing out papers in Harlem. But to come to the next hearing at the Urban League, okay? They're trying to stack the deck. And she's with this pan-goofy program as reparation, program, education, all of this dumb stuff. You should have put a wig in it. But this is who we have to deal with. Then she mentions Mahatma Gandhi, this racist bastard, smelling like must and curry. Everybody know he hated Black people. So when you quote him, you hate us too. That's the way I see it. Either that or you're dumb as a box of rocks. And also, all of the historians that they come with at these hearings start from an African basis. It's disingenuous to do that, because when you do that, you negate the free Black people who were already here, kidnapped and sold into slavery, which was a majority, according to federal archives. Not according to me, but the federal archives. And there were several books written on this very same thing. When you talk about people like Harriet Tubman was anti going to Africa, anything. She was against that whole jump to Liberia mess, and she was against all that. So who are you talking about? This is what I'm saying. They regurgitate old, antiquated information that don't make no goddamn sense. Let's continue.
And closing any gap does an injustice to everyone. There's a book called Young, Gifted, and Black. And the authors are Teresa Perry, Claude Steele, Asa Hilliard, who also authored The Reawakening of the African Mind.
See what I'm talking about? This whole pan-goofy narrative. She want money for programs. Or as Brooke said, her failed schools.
That's right.
This is what we have to deal with. And that's why we have to show up. This is insane. So, Sister Brooke, perfect representation of said person. Now, on this hearing, which happened last week in Hempstead, last Saturday, Assemblywoman Salajas was there presenting. And, you know, Brother Divine and the Freedmen Project, they reached out to this heifer. You know, and as Brooke said, they ghosted them. Didn't want nothing to do with it. She focused on Haitian TBS.
That's right.
That's her focus right now.
Non-voters.
Oh, yeah. the non-voters, or the wait a minute, hold on.
Right.
Recent investigation, some of them are voting, even though they shouldn't
be.
Breaking the law. Let's play this second part, and then we'll come back with Sister Brooke and Brother Divine. Hold on.
So after I finish, letting Dr. Cody have it, this nice young lady with a maroon suit walks up to me, and she saw the entire exchange, and she's like, hey, I would really like to get you a meeting with Assemblywoman Salages. I look at her shocked because I'm like, really? Assemblywoman Salages wants to meet with us? I was like, since when?
Really? She ignored
So she's like,
us.
yeah, I would love to get you a meeting. I was like, well, she ghosted us. And she's like, well, I think that, it would be great for her to hear some of the things, some of your concerns. And so this is before my testimony, y'all. So I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. But just so you know, the U.S. Freedmen Project definitely tried to have a meeting with her, and she ghosted them. She's like, well, I'm Black American, so I really think you guys should sit down and talk. I said, you are? And she said, yes, I am. I said, okay, all right, well, let's see. So at that point, the break is over and we have to go back to our seats. So we agreed to exchange information after the hearing is over. So after the hearing is over, I see the young lady in the maroon suit leaving with Assembly Member Salages. So I, catch up to the lady in the maroon suit to, exchange information with her. When I walk up to her, Salages is just looking. I say, hey, miss, I wanted to get your information, before you left. Salages throws her arm in between us. Don't get any information from them. You don't need to contact them. I look at the lady and I said, see, this is exactly what I was telling you about. I told you she didn't want to talk to us. I told you that. She said, well, you did call her out in your testimony. I told them I am a registered voter and she is a public servant. I have the right to call her out when she does wrong and makes our reparations unconstitutional. I'm just glad that you're here to witness what I told you in the beginning. This woman does not want to talk to us. This woman ghosted us. Salages says, did you have a meeting with my office? I looked at her and said, President Divine did, and the U.S. Freedmen Project did, and you ghosted them. The lady in the maroon suit sees where this is going. So she's like, okay, I have your information from the postcard that you gave me, and I'll contact you that way. I looked at both of them and I said, yeah, and walked away. Come on, guys, send those emails. There's only 9 days left and we got the numbers looking good, but we can make it better. Send them emails.
That's part two. This is Assemblywoman Salages, who represent that district of Hempstead, Floral Park, I think, and I forget the other section of Queens. Hold on.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. How exciting it is today to be able to come together as a community and really have conversations of ways that we can empower each other. So really today, I'm just honored to welcome each and every one of you to the work of the New York State Community Commission on Reparations Remedy. And for many of us, slavery is not a distant feeling. It's not another place, another time. You may think it is, and when we talk about Long Island, we know that its history is closer than we often want to acknowledge. New York is not untouched by slavery. Long Island has been home to enslaved Africans who built the wealth, cultivated the land, worked households, and contributed to local economies while being denied freedom and opportunity. And although slavery had formally ended generations ago, we know that its vestiges still continue today. And so I appreciate the commission for making today's theme truth before repair, because the truth is a foundation upon which lasting solutions must stand. So as we talk today, I know many of you are native Long Islanders. I know many of you, and I appreciate you taking your time here and coming and having this discussion. We are reminded every day of the disparities that exist on Long Island, whether it's home ownership, wealth accumulation, educational opportunities, environmental burdens.
Still with this African narrative. Now she talking about people who can't get homes. That's not what reparations is for. That's not what it's for. But this is the kind of foolishness that we have to deal with. And I said it here, and I said it many times. The Democratic Party has always been against us. Always. Not sometimes, middle of the time, always. And somebody sent me a message. What about what's his name? Lyndon B. Johnson. Let me just go back because I think people don't pay attention. We did a whole piece on Adam Clayton Powell and Charles Hamilton Houston on this platform. Some people equate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as the voice behind the civil rights movement or the legislation behind the civil rights movement. That is a lie. In your spare time, if I say it in my glasses, you can hear it through the mic. But in your spare time, I want you to Google Powell Amendments. Powell Amendments, P-O-W-E-L-L Amendments. And see who the writer was behind most of the civil rights legislation. But they give you a face and a name, and you run with that. That's not true. We did a whole show on it. But anyway, you know, Sister Brooke, because we're going to play your testimony and Brother Divine's right after this. But if y'all can explain what it's like when you see these types of presentations that take place and, you know, how you have to rewrite speeches of what you may have in your head to write or to say. And you get these people who come up and give pan goofy narratives or narratives that are disrespectful to the lineage. What's your feeling on that?
So this hearing was different from all the other hearings. They didn't have a presentation, which was interesting in itself. The fact that they have two hearings back to back, one last Saturday, another one coming up on this Saturday, is also interesting. It felt as if they were trying to give Salages a platform. That's the way it felt. Because it really was crowbarred in. It was the last minute, and they didn't have nothing prepared. Usually they have a speaker that will talk a little bit about, you know, slavery in that area or, you know, freedmen in that area. But this time, Commissioner Chanel Hawkins, she just had a little, you know, blurb, you know, that took less than 5 minutes. And I'm glad she said something about the area. Because like I said, it just seems so very last minute. So that's number one. So because they did not have a presenter, it was just basically public. It was like for the three politicians to come and talk. And then it was straight to public comments. And what I find even more interesting is that one of the commissioners came up to me and was like, you know, he mentioned the fact that I write my speech in the audience, knowing I wasn't going to have time to write my speech in the audience because there was no presentation. So I find it very interesting though, like it's almost like they're studying us and they're trying to throw us off our game. But one, they don't know that I'm quick with it, and they don't know that President Divine can freestyle. So if he go before me and give me a couple minutes, a couple extra minutes, because that's what I was up to the wire. Like I didn't get a chance to change some of the wording and just like perfect it and give it that like I like. But it was good enough. It was enough to piss off Solange, and it was enough. See, that's the thing. Look, hey chat. If y'all know a good AI cartoon program, please let me know, because that second one kicked my behind. The first one was quite easy. That second one kicked my behind. I don't know if I want to do any more, but I definitely got 2 more stories I want to share. And
Try
one of those,
Try CapCut and see if that works.
I'm gonna have to talk to you about this because I tried CapCut and I don't understand what it. I'm starting to wonder other things, but anyway, we'll talk about that behind the scenes.
Okay.
So the other story is the other politician that they had, the one with the sister locks. She came up to me after the hearing, copping pleas too. It's so interesting because I called her out because she said talking about, oh, it doesn't matter where you from, and I called her out for that nonsense. And she came up to me at the end saying, oh, I didn't mean it like that. I was like, well, words matter, especially when we're talking about reparations. So you're going to have to choose your words more carefully. Like they matter. You can't just say things. We're having a specific fight about language. And so, yeah, that's her. So, like I said, it just seemed like a platform for them to be able to speak in their, district. And we still gave them that work. So you could keep studying us if you like, and we're gonna keep and you got 2 more years. All right, 2 more years of me digging my foot in your behind. Let's get it.
And using our talking points.
And trying to flip them.
Foundational, trying to use certain talking.
When she's a foundational Haitian.
Period.
And that's what I talked about in the hearing. How dare you sit up here and talk about the history you had no part to, your ancestors had no participation in, and then you don't even mention that? Like what is the deal with these people doing things like that? Like and it's getting to the point now and you're the one that and you ghost the actual foundational Black Americans, but you want to sit up on a podium and take credit for the work that they've done in the district that you represent, which you could never represent if it wasn't for us. Ma'am, I think you need to tend to that skin that's sliding. Her face is looking like tendonism, falling off the bone. And stop getting in front of my reparations.
Brother Divine, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I just want to, I know because you're getting ready to go into the testimony, so I'll speak a little bit more after that, but I want to just say, because I need the family to understand, and Sister Brooke touched on it in between her pettiness, is that what you have to understand is that Solange is one of, if not the most powerful women in the New York State Assembly. Not even just one of the most powerful women, she's one of the most powerful assembly members in the New York State Assembly. And she is in her position only because those that came before us of our lineage made it so to create the Black Caucus. which then the Democrats saw so to turn it into the Black, Puerto Rican, and Hispanic and Asian caucus together. And so when we understand how erasure works, it's easy to see when you're trying to erase Black, foundational Black, with white. That's why it's so easy for us to see the opposition that comes at us from the right. It's harder to see the erasure of foundational Black when they take all the other colors and pile them on top of Black until you can't see Black anymore. And that's what we're up against, where people still think it includes us because with white, they're looking to erase it. With the POC, they're just putting it on top of you and pretending, well, you're still in there somewhere. So whatever this group gets, you'll get some of it. But it never makes its way to the bottom, does it? So she is a Haitian American, which is not a bad thing on its face, but you're a Haitian American that's locking out foundational Black Americans from legislation on a foundational Black American agenda, while also championing your Haitian American agenda. And then we're the villains when we say, hey, when do we get around to our agenda that you're standing on the shoulders of to even be able to push your Haitian agenda? Where they do that at?
Crazy work. Crazy work. But again, this is what we have to deal with. So let's get into some of the testimony with our brother Devon and Sister Brooke, and then we'll come right back because now we're going to dig into the history and where these commission members come from, who appointed them, and why. So let's play these and we'll come right back. Hold on.
It says 10:54.
Okay. I'm going to use my phone.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure.
So if you give me 1 second.
I didn't get a chance. Oh, there we go. I didn't get a chance to time myself.
It's set.
So we're going right
Okay.
into it. It's set.
Thank you.
I'm gonna need that. I can keep it honest.
Where is it set for us?
Okay.
So every speaker, if you could just announce your name and if you're with any organization before you provide your testimony.
The clock already started.
So
Can we
we'll get,
Yeah.
you know, we got you.
Okay.
We'll restart the clock.
Do you see it restarted yet?
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Good morning. My name is Divine Prince. I'm the current president of the U.S. Freedmen Project. Earlier, Dr. Ron Daniels mentioned the GI Bill, so I wanted to bring everybody's attention to H.R. 1725. That's the Sergeant Isaac Woodard Jr. and Sergeant Joseph H. Maddox GI Bill Restoration Act of 2025 in the House of Representatives. It is a lineage-based bill, and that is what makes it constitutional. And in 2022, as we were educating the public on this idea of constitutionality and moving beyond race-based policies and initiatives, that ran us directly into the bill that created this commission. And at that time, we were a young, naive organization, and we took a meeting with said Assemblywoman Salages. And that was our very first meeting. So we naively laid all of our cards on the table and told her that we were looking to have this bill be constitutional because having it based on race is unconstitutional. And we told her that, you know, as American Freedmen, we believed that it was our duty to make sure we got it right. And she told us that as a Haitian American and a member of the Haitian Roundtable organization, whose motto is, as Haitians, we are keepers of our legacy, she understood us and she felt for us and she would work with us. Unfortunately, that was the last meeting we ever had with her, and she never returned any of our phone calls. And that's because her position on reparations is the Pan-African race-based model. Now, that sounds like it should just be a difference of opinion that we can get over. Unfortunately, race-based policies are unconstitutional whether we like them or not. And we have only been proven right since that first meeting with Salages when we see the race-based affirmative action getting torn down, the race-based fearless fund getting torn down, the Black farmers not be able to get their resources because it's a race-based bill. And now we see race-based districts being torn down all throughout the South. Why? Because the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment protects us from all white policies, but it's a sword that swings in both directions, and it prohibits all Black policies, whether we like it or not. An African American is a race-based term, a federally recognized race-based category. Its definition is anyone with origins in the Black racial groups of Africa. That means American freedmen and all Afro-immigrants to the country are African American. So any legislation written with that language is going to get thrown out. At the hearing in Rochdale, I was there as well and told the commission that Edward Bloom said that he's coming for everything that comes out of New York because it's a race-based bill. We have a way to do it, and that's through status. And at my last 10 seconds, I want to make sure I honor and give a shout out to Assemblyman Noah Burrows. He is on our disaggregation bill that helps us solve this problem. So I'm asking Member Salages, will she join her colleague, sign on to A6341, and help us move that in the Assembly and the Senate? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Brooke. After Brooke, I'm sorry, is,
How you get this down?
okay, if someone can help Brooke. And next we have, after Brooke is Muhammad. Or I think it's Aubrey Maharpin. I'm sorry, I'm having a challenge reading your first name.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
All right.
And
that
so
could
you
work.
can go ahead and come to this microphone. You'll be after Brooke.
Assembly Member Salages, let's be very clear. The people you descend from did not build, cultivate, or develop the land we are standing on today. You stand here pushing a bill that is not only deeply flawed, but unconstitutional at its core. You praise nonprofits in public, but when the U.S. Freedmen Project raised concerns, you shut them out. You didn't want to hear their comments. You didn't want to hear their warnings. And you certainly didn't want to hear anything about constitutional issues baked into this legislation. You have worked overtime to undermine this entire commission by attacking its foundation, a foundation rooted on specific historical experience of foundational Black American freedmen whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States. Instead of respecting that lineage and that legal claim, you are fighting tooth and nail to secure a status for individuals who are not citizens, who are not voters, and who are not the people who elected you. You show more urgency for non-voting populations like TPS than you do for actual constituents who put you in office. That is a betrayal of responsibility. Now, to Sylvia Vivian Russell, yes, it does matter where someone is from. Reparations is in the United States. Reparations in the United States are owed to the descendants of those enslaved by the U.S. government on U.S. soil. That is a specific lineage, a specific harm, and a specific debt. Peoples whose ancestors were enslaved elsewhere have their own governments to petition, and many of them are. That does not erase, replace the claim that Black Americans whose ancestors were enslaved here. Dr. Ron Daniels spoke about the history of slavery right here in Hempstead. That history belonged to the people whose families lived it, the people whose ancestors were enslaved, emancipated, and then systematically oppressed in this country. Salages, your family was not part of that history. The people who were are the ones whose lineage forms the basis of this Constitution, this claim, and this fight. And that's why this matters. This is why we will not allow the lineage-based foundation to be erased, diluted, or replaced. The debt is owed to the people whose ancestors endured it here, and we will not let you rewrite the truth. I want to thank the grassroots for funding us for being here today. And if you want to send emails to Salages regarding this, go to BREUCK calltoaction.com. That's BREUCK calltoaction.com, and send emails to her and all the other legislators regarding this unconstitutional bill and regarding our delineation and disaggregation bill that is now stuck in the Finance Committee in the Senate. Please send emails to James Sanders, who is the author of the bill, but refuses to bring the bill for a vote in the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you.
let's show the difference. Okay? Let's show the difference. Right? You have Assemblywoman Nikki Lucas. Reparations workshop hosted in Albany by Assemblywoman Nikki Lucas, presented by members of the U.S. Freedmen's Project. See the difference? You see this room? Oh, let me see if I can move it up. I don't know, it won't let me. But you see the difference in this room than 3 people in the other room?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and shout out to Assemblywoman Nikki Lucas.
Always.
Y'all have van service, you know, the travel and all of that. This is what a politician who pays attention to her constituency request and require, not to throw them off like Salages and the over 50 groups and organizations that the Freedmen Project reached out to. I want y'all to see this. The selection of 9 members of the New York State Community Commission on Reparation Remedies was divided equally among 3 top officials, with each selecting 3 members. The appointments were officially announced in February 2024. Governor Kathy Hochul chose Jennifer Jones Austin, Timothy Ho, and Linda Brown Robinson. Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins appointed Dr. Derek Hamilton, Linda Tarrant Reed, and Chanel Hawkins. Assembly Speaker Carl Hastings appointed Ron Daniels, Sadie Wilkes, and Dr. Sean Carter. Now, I did a little investigation to see where these people come from. And here you have FPWA, right? Fulfilling the promise with opportunity, right? Who is the CEO? Jennifer Jones Austin. This is the Pat, who is in the chat. This is the daughter of William Augustus Jones from Bethany Baptist Church. Okay? Now, let's see. What do we do? Let's see, what do they do? Let's scroll all the way down here. Let's scroll. The true economic security is dependent upon racial equality and justice for all. FBWA's work is built upon the need to dismantle the unjust structures and systems that inhibit New Yorkers' rights to dignity and power. These structures maintain deprivation, perpetuate racial disparities, and disproportionately affect Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Island, Middle Easterns, and all people of color. She's also a part of the Urban League with Dr. Chanel Hawkins, of which the next hearing will take place at their Harlem office. Now, remember Julianne Malveaux in Staten Island, Sister Brooke? She too comes out of the Urban League. So the Urban League is for everybody. It's for everybody. So there is no separation of church, community, and business when it comes to Black people or Black Americans. Linda Tarrant Reed, she sits as the executive director. Where's that? Leadership of the Lincoln Park Conservancy Incorporated. This is the person who is the head of communications. This is the person I appeal to for Doggy Diamonds and All Viral Access Media, whom I never got a response from. So I just want y'all to see what these people do, where they come from, and who appointed them. Now, I wanted to discuss Callie House. And in this piece, Ron Daniels, was appointed because of his Pan-African affiliations and mindset with the Institute of the Black World 21st Century, right? That's why he was selected. Another shift. But before we play this clip, I want to know if anybody got any on the panel, that is, comments or questions that you want to talk about before I move on here.
I just want to say good job to Brother Devon and Sister Brooke. That's it. Y'all smoked.
Thank you.
I'm gonna hit you with that old. It's a classic commercial that y'all gonna know because y'all above that. Y'all from that age range. I learned about watching you. Get it from you, Dad. Get it from you.
Yo, Devon is crazy.
So see, what's understood don't need to be explained. So I don't need to even mention that where that's from. So, but I sent that to you, Sister Keisha, and thank you for bringing it up. The article about the workshop that the U.S. Freedmen Project did alongside Nikki Lucas, Assembly member Nikki Lucas, in 2023. And that's not to impress you, but I want to bring and highlight more of this Salage's story and saga so that the family understands what it took for us to get here, but also how much they attempt to stack the deck against us. So when you got the tethers that come against us and say, well, who's working against you? See, because when we did that space with Noel from the UK and BBC, myself and Sister Brooke, you had a bunch of bad faith tethers coming in and saying, well, why are you not just focused on white people? Because we're not doing anything to you. And I gave them a list of all the Afro immigrants that we have been up against in New York alone because they are in positions of power. As somebody in the chat said, how did they get there? They got there because of Pan-Africanism.
Yep.
Like if you want to understand how they rose to power, is because of Pan-African. Without Pan-Africanism, we understand the difference between us and them, whether they got melanin or not. Pan-Africanism taught us that despite those differences, melanin connects us all.
That's right.
And that they were coming in to fight the same battle we were fighting because of that melanin, which we now know is a lie. But let's get back to that article. After Salage has locked us out, after that very first meeting, as I said in my testimony, which is all true, no cap, that workshop that we put together was supposed to be a joint workshop between Member Lucas and the U.S. Freedmen Project and Salage's with Ron Daniels, Narcan Cobra IBW 21, and Jam Ayuwar of the MBCI Trust. So we was going to have an old-fashioned you got served. You bring your crew, we bring our crew, and we was going to see who the Crooklyn Clan was. Here's what Salages did, though. When she found out it was going to be us, and we're going to talk about constitutionality, because here's what a lot of family may or may not know. Another reason why Dr. Ron Daniels got picked is because the original version of the bill had all of his Pan-African organizations and affiliations written into the bill to get money off the top. And the U.S. Freedmen Project came on and was like, oh, shoot, now this is wrong. Like, not because they're Pan-African, because guess what? When we wrote the bill, we had every opportunity to write ourselves into the bill. But we didn't do that. because that's what integrity requires you not to do. You truly make it a community commission, which they never had any intention on doing. And so the first iteration, the Freedmen Project, along with the family, and our very first call to action, gets that bill killed in 2022. Over the summer of 2022, we write our own bill that includes the community, no organizations baked into the crust, and then we shop it in 2023 cold turkey. I mean, not cold turkey, but through cold calls, right? Because we didn't have any connections in the legislature. This is before we met Member Lucas. But in 2023, we get this commission. I mean, we get this opportunity for the workshop, and it's supposed to be a joint workshop to debate our bill versus the old bill that Salage has reintroduced, just without the organizations written into it. So we had done enough groundwork from January to that February till we got enough interest in the New York State legislative body for them to say, okay, hold on. We have two competing bills. We need to see which one we're going to go with. And Salages used her power as the chair. And this is why it's so important that the position that she sits and how she's weaponizing the caucus that our people created to work against our people. So she got in there and said, you know what? Oh, no, it's going to be a debate on whose is better. I'm not coming. So that's fine and that's fine and good. But the next step is where it got extra insidious. She goes to the chair of the caucus weekend and to the Speaker of the House, that same Carl Hasty that Sister Keisha highlighted, got three choices on, got three selections for the commission. And she told them, well, I'm not going to be in it, so I want the entire workshop canceled. If I'm not going, I don't want nobody to do a workshop. And thankfully, she didn't have enough juice because however it's set up or however it was set up in the beginning, the caucus itself and the caucus weekend are two separate entities. And the woman that's in control of the caucus weekend said, nah, reparations is an important topic. You don't have to go, but we still having this workshop one way or another. I don't know what you're going to do. So she tried to protest it up to the last minute where we didn't even know if we were going to have a workshop that weekend. And we went, and the rest is history. And as Sister Keisha showed you, not only was that room full, it was standing room only. And because of the way the ancestors set it up, that room, there was not another meeting in that room afterwards. And it was one of the last workshops of the day. So we actually had even more time than what they allowed afterwards. And we needed it because at the end of the workshop was a standing ovation and nobody left the room. And we stayed and answered questions until every question was answered. So this is what we're talking about when we go to these hearings and we're telling them, you're not going to be able to say you didn't know. Because he went to your house, had the workshop in your house to teach you how to get reparations right, and you ignored it because you're committed to getting reparations wrong and now committed to trying to push this thing back until we forget about it or give it up. And neither are options for us.
That's right.
So you just stuck with us. So one way or another, you're going to have to deal with us. So either you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later. But you will pay. And that's all I got.
Y'all heard it here.
Bravo.
Can I say something? I just want to point out that that work that he's talking about is before I knew of Divine, before I knew of the U.S. Freedmen Project, I didn't even know this was happening. So that is why I try so hard to bring light to the things that they have done before, because I've said this on like different lives before, like, you know, at us as New Yorkers, and, you know, Devon being a true blue and orange New Yorker, you know, we move in silence. And they was doing all of this work, and you know what I mean? If you going about your daily life or whatever, you know, I was, you know, doing other things, you don't even know what's happening until they actually signed in the bill. And I read the bill and I'm like, well, I didn't know what to do to be able to combat this until I met him that day at the Schomburg when they had the conversation. And when I learned all they had been doing and all they had done, and, you know, I could, you know, feel their energy, and that they all had good hearts. The aunties welcomed me in, you know, Auntie Annette and Auntie Gangster Reverend Coachman. You know, they welcomed me in literally like, come, like, I've, you know, found my tribe with them ever since, because I want to do everything I can to help them, and to be of assistance and to be of service to the US Freedmen Project, and however and whatever capacity that I can. So I like to let people know, like, I am not the brains behind this. I am not the, you know, the driving force behind this. I am simply the big mouth of the organization. I got the biggest mouth. So, and that is pretty much it. So I just want to like give honor to President Devine and the founding members of the U.S. Freedmen Project for all the work that they have done before anybody knew what was happening, and before they could get the public, you know, recognition from the family, because they definitely deserve all the accolades, all the praise, all the love, all the hugs, that you can give them, because without them, one, illegals will be able to vote in New York, because he ain't mentioned that. They fought that too. And I was aware, but I didn't know what to do about it. You know what I mean? I talked about it on my channel, but I didn't know what to do. And so, you know, one, that would have happened. Two, Ron Daniels would have got his money baked in the cake. You know what I mean? Three, I wouldn't even be able to say some of the things that I say at these hearings, because I can stand, or even in that cartoon, I can stand strong because I know what he did. You know what I mean? And so, because I didn't do it, but I know what he did. And because he did it, I can, you know what I'm saying, you know, hit Solange's in her face with history. And so yeah, I just wanted to take that time to, like, you know, really, really recognize the U.S. Freedmen Project and President Devine and Reverend Coachman and Auntie Annette for all of their work.
Definitely, they definitely are our lobbyists, 110%. And you can follow usfreemanproject.org. Their information is in the description of this live and every live. You know, continue to support, because this work is not easy. You know, it takes a yeoman's job. This is a yeoman's job to be done, and they are doing it. So we got to support them as much as we possibly can. But, you know, Ron Daniels has put his weird looking hat and his rat face in a whole lot of documentaries. But keeping the whole Pan-African narrative going, right, from Year to Flood. Here's a little clip from PBS regarding Callie House. A lot of people don't talk about her. But, you know, the origin starts here.
Yeah.
This woman, again, did a yeoman's job, garnering over 300,000 members to sign petitions for reparations, or as you see, the ex-slave mutual fund. U.S. government came heavy against her.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to discredit her. Excuse me. And in fact, a lot of members of the UNIA, Garvey's movement, came out of her mutual society. People don't like to talk about that either. But we'll play this clip and we'll come right back. Hold on.
Reparations has been here and have been worked on for generations. From the very beginning, people were knocking on the door saying, we are owed for our labor.
Callie House, she was born a slave. She went out all around in the community telling Black people that they ought to ask the government to get some money because they were poor and they were desperate by the 1900s. She had 300,000 dues-paying members. It was the largest organization of Black folk that had existed. Pretty soon, her activities came to the attention of the government, and they convicted her of fraud. The federal charge was that at a time when you should have known that the federal government would never give Negroes anything, why were you telling Negroes they should organize to try to get something?
It was criminal to organize Black people to do anything. And she did it. So when I see these immigrant politicians who come up and talking about crap that they're doing for their selected groups, none of these historians so far did any in-depth work on what Callie House did. That I've seen. I haven't seen it. Hold
on. They sent her to prison to serve a 1-year term. She got out of prison. She went back to Nashville to this shotgun house. She got uterine cancer and she died. You can draw a direct line from Callie House to the reparations movement today.
After she spent a year in prison, went back down south. She went to prison so the U.S. Freedmen Project don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
She went to prison so the commission don't have to. But you acting like cowards. You acting like cowards in the face of a woman who did great things. You're a coward. So, just some clarity about the time of Callie House. You had a Democratic president. You had a Democrat, a governor, Democrat senators. This is what she was facing back then. Y'all don't believe me? Google it for yourself. Who was the president in the time of Callie House? Who was the governor of Tennessee? Were they Democrat or Republican? Look it up. Always been against us. Always. But they've been leaning on us for so long. What do you got? What you got up there, brother? Oh, I can't see.
My face is black.
Yes. 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 Get that. Get that. Now, what you see on the screen are the case files, National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief Association for the United States. This is only 690-something pages. There are thousands of them. We ain't got time for thousands. But I want y'all to see certain things in this piece. Hold on. So you have slips like this that will give you the names and how much dues the people pay, right? Where they lived, what time of year, or what year they became members. I wanted to show you this guy, I.H. Dickerson. He was the general manager of this mutual fund. He said, fellow citizens, ladies and gentlemen, more than 2 years of my time have been spent wholly devoted in advocating the rights of the Negro as a citizen of this government, and especially the right of ex-slaves to compensation from the government for wrongs perpetrated during the existence of slavery. They were not in accord with the Declaration of Independence, which declared all men free and equal and endowed with certain rights, life, liberty, and the pursuits of happiness, all of which the Negro has been deprived, save life, and that to a limited extent only. The pension bill now pending is just and should prevail over the heads of all opposition. The will of justice in its revolutions has blessed all emancipated races in the general sense, outside of the affair which occurred in Indian Territory, May 8th, 1897. What territory? Indian. So when you see these historians who come up and flattening everything to African, that too is disingenuous, it's wrong, and it's immoral. He said, when the wrongs of 4,868 freedmen of that loyalty were adjusted by the government, the Negro has received but a small degree of satisfaction. We have sent delegates to Congress to present our claims which have been acknowledged, claims that should have been liquidated years ago. The pension bill should have the united support of every Negro in the United States. Now is the time to unite and make a stand for the welfare of our race. As general manager, I appeal to all ex-slaves and their friends to help us. I.H. Dickerson. Now, this is Sister Brooke and Brother Devon just said, drafting up a bill that was constitutional. That's what I.H. Dickerson just said. So when I say we are right in line with what our ancestors did, I know what the hell I'm talking about. We are right in line with what they said. Now, let me scroll down, let me see. Let's see. Okay, I think this is, oops, sorry. Here we go. Some of the papers and the people who certified this organization or this union, they were given cards, right? Here is what one of the cards looked like. This person who joined comes out of Miles Bayou. Miles Bayou is very important. You know, what troubled me with this Back to Africa movement, you know, taking these trips to Ghana, spending all these thousands. How come nobody ever wants to go back to Mississippi? Why are we building up the Deep South, right? Because you have to remember, May Louise Miller and her family were held in slavery into the 70s in Mississippi. Why we don't do that? Why is there not a Back to the South movement? Why are we spending money in the Delta of Mississippi while people are hurting it? But you want to go across the shores to a mystical place that you claim your peoples came from with no documentation. Now, I come from a family of women of greatness. And they always told us, take care of home first. You got to take care of home first. When I see people doing this Back to Africa stuff, you ain't taking care of home first. You talk about Fannie Lou Hamer, But you ain't never been to her hometown. People still suffering in Rulesville, Mississippi. But you don't go there. You don't. Ain't nobody. Stevie Wonder ain't going in. So I don't like his ass. He ain't going in. Steve Harvey ain't going in. You know. I want to get to the petition signatures because it shows the people who joined, but also their masters, the names of the masters that own them. Right? I want to show that. Let me see if I get down. I think it's 130 something. Give me a second. Damn it. I try to write the pages down, but I left my paper downstairs. That's what I get for multiple things at the same ding time. It's downstairs. But I wanted y'all to see the roles actually. Let's see. Here's one. Okay. Let me see. Oh, let's see. Here's one. Now, let me see. Can y'all see that? This is name each master. So these people were very thorough. Pun intended. They were very thorough on who they are, how they identified, and what plantations they worked on and where. So when they say, oh, we all came on the same boat and all this all kind of stuff, that's why you don't look at stuff like this.
Right.
That's why documentation favors descendant of freedmen. It doesn't favor any other group. So that's why they don't want to tap into lineage reparations. They can't benefit. These people were very thorough. Look at the ages. 41, 69, 76, 77, 67, 82, 60. Different ages of where these people came from. You know, they ain't talking about this. You know, none of these historians bring up any of this work. And that, for me, is problematic. Because you're hiding the truth. 20 years old. 29, 25, 36. 8. Okay? He was 8 when he was on this plantation. Look like Michael's. So documentation favors us. It doesn't any other group here. You know, it doesn't favor them. You know, so this is what the petition looked like back then. All right. You got the general manager and the president. Waneri. Hope I'm saying that right. Names of ministers and teachers and other prominent Negro opposers. They had dues. You see, freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free. And look at the sign. Look at these people who signed these petitions. Petition to Congress. Right? Same thing. State and county. This is very well documented. So I'm telling you, and as you heard in that PBS clip, fair use, but in that PBS clip, she said over 300,000 members. And this is just 691. You see? So, you know, when they come to you with this foolishness, and that's why, you know, the next hearing, I got to chop them up. You know, I can't let it slide anymore. Nashville, Tennessee. Ain't that where Chubb was acting the fool at?
Yeah.
And I said on the show that was a large slave hub. Said that before on this show. I know because I went down there to see for myself. I went to see the plaques and the streets and all that. That's there. So I know what I'm talking about. And I got pictures of it too. It's only on this computer. But I do. So to the family your thoughts on this diatribe of information from the great Kali House and the organization in which she founded. Your thoughts. And I'm going to put the link so y'all can go through this catalog for yourselves. I'll put it in the chat.
With that. I'll start. Yo, you never cease to amaze me. This is why the day I met you, I said, let me just sit at your feet and listen. Because you give us scholarship for what we're doing. And I'll say y'all give us scholarship for what we're doing. It's almost like pew-pews in the chamber. You know what I'm saying? Like you give me ammunition. Because the spirit to fight is, that's inside me. That's in the DNA. But you reinforce that righteous leg to stand on. You know what I'm saying? Give us all of that. And when you think about now I'm gonna get emotional. When you think about the fact that this woman spent one whole year of her life in jail because she was so good at what she was doing that it made the establishment or the white supremacists in power so nervous that they had to knock her down as much. And this is a time when they didn't really, it just reminds me of that phrase from Sojourner Truth. Ain't I a woman? They weren't sending women to jail like that at this time. And because she got a petition and organized people, they locked her black ass up. And see, this is why we refuse to allow disingenuous people with their skin sliding on their face sit up there and act like you have ties to the people who fought like that. You do not. And not to say that your people did not fight at a time. And they ended up fighting the French and then they fought themselves. But why aren't you proud of what you have done? Why are you it's like a startling reality. Like when we talk about that we're willing to give our lives for what we're doing, it's a startling reality that that people really did. And then when she got out, she passed from cancer. I don't know. And it just makes me feel all kind of ways. Did the people who signed her petition, did they look out for her? Did they rally around her? Did they celebrate her? I hope so. I'd like to think so. Because I would hate to think that after spending a year in jail, she died alone. Because that's also a scary thought as someone who's doing this work.
You have to also remember too, 1 second, also remember too that this woman left her children behind. The older ones took care of the younger ones so that she can do what she needed to do. She traveled from state to state. There's another story about what happened to her when she was incarcerated. And I think that's a little too heavy for the show. Matter of fact, I know it is. So, I would encourage you to research that on your own, and it's Googleable. You can find out what happened to her. But this was a great woman, and we are all right in line. Some of us who do this great work, like people we know, the 4 of us, 5 of us, come up with all kind of illnesses out of nowhere. It's a greatness that you don't understand, but you better listen. Your ancestors were telling you, my mother used to say, open your cat eye and listen what your cat is and see what's going on. I'll land there. Go ahead, Brother Tad.
No, I mean, it is divine. We are in alignment, because to pick up what Sister Brooke put down, I was going to say, during the year in jail, during that time, we didn't have creature comforts. We weren't respected in public, let alone in those institutions of jail. So I can only imagine what that sister had to deal with and go through. And as you said, it's documented, And again, things do happen to those of us who do the work. But me, I don't have no fear of that. Nah. Because it gives us purpose. We all leaving. This thing called life, nobody makes it out alive. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to leave here, but will it be something of value? Would it be meaningful? Or will you just be another docile person that went along to get along? See, coming from the streets, I dealt with a lot of real killers. I had issues with real killers. And I'm not even going to act like these folks ain't killers, because I always put it on them. My mama took the jab, and I told her not to, because I knew what that jab was all about. God bless my mama. But this is what it is. This is what we sign up for. But I believe there's a life after this life. And everybody we lost will be waiting for us, and all the people who we operate in the spirit of will be waiting for us when we cross that road. See, we was taught to be afraid of death by the powers that be. But this is about as natural as the sun coming up and going down. And there's too many cowards. But what I love is that this bridge, Thorough Black Talk, is a masterclass. And all the information that everybody receives here, even those of us on the panel, it's edifying. Though sometimes we don't have the words to express, thanks to our sister Keisha, she always got the information to give us, as Sister Brooke said, that ammunition. So we recharge, we feel revitalized, reinvigorated, ready to go back out there and charge, because we know what we're doing is right. And sometimes we don't always have the case laws and study, but we just feel it in our bones, we feel it in our system that we doing the right thing. Especially those of us who come from a paradigm of former consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Of Africanizing everything. And I'm not knocking people who do, but I'm talking about for myself. When I get new information, I have to operate on that new information. Because if I'm not, I'm only lying to myself. I know better than, but I want to fit into the group. So I'm going to go along with what they say. Nah, we all learn and grow in our own space and in our own stage. So, sis, I just want to thank you for bringing that to the forefront. Definitely you, Sister Brooke. Though you got a big mouth, we love you because you got the spirit that many of us wish we had. You know what I'm saying? Many of us wish we had that get up in your face mentality, or even courage, and be right. Even if we can't prove that we right, just knowing that we right. And that's what you embody. You know what I'm saying? So don't change. Don't change. Keep it up. Keep it up. And that's why the ancestors pulled Brother Devon to the side, and Sister Keisha had to be somewhere else, because you had to let it loose on those who want to play in our face. It had to be said, Brother Devon, you always on point, bro. So you know how we do. But that's all I wanted to say on that.
Yo, that is funny. Because it was so strange. He was, every single time, he was not there. And I was like, you missed it. Where was you at? I was in the bathroom. where was you at? I was talking to such and such. Where was you? I'm trying to make sure we get blah, blah, blah. You know, he always strategizing and planning. I'm like, where was you at? So I think you're right that it was divine for Divine to be busy so I could, you know, say what I had to say. I appreciate that.
And she needed to hear it.
Her in the wig and the other one in the skin. I didn't talk about her skin in person, but you know.
That wig is something, boy. Y'all gotta see how hard and dry it looked. But anyway.
And it looked extra bad in Hempstead. It was like flying away, looked like this. It was flying away. It was so obvious I had to say something. I couldn't take it.
You know, let me just say, iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel over here. We learn from each other, right? And when I, you know, think of topics that we should discuss, I think it's important, you know, that we bring our best. And, you know, all of us on this platform, we are qualified to bring our best, and we do. So I thank everybody who likes to tune in and learn from us. You know, we learn from y'all too. You know, when I was going through this archive earlier today, I was getting tired. My head started hurting. Take a break. Because when you go through this, you know, it can piss you off. You know. And I see my family name all through it. You know, some of y'all family's name all through it. You know. So, and I couldn't put it down. I was downloading the other 700 pages later this, you know, before we came on. Tomorrow morning, I'm up. I'll be up at 6 going through it because it's a lot. It's a lot. But, you know, we've come to the end of our program, Brother Black. Next week, please be on time because I got some things for you to discuss that's coming out. You know, it's very serious. And you will write again. You got Biden's granddaughter talking about the double, who confirmed that double. You know, these DNA tests. You know, what are they looking for now? You know, what connection to the outer world they're looking for now? But, you know, let's get to our final thoughts and commentary, and let's get the people up out of here. You know. Go ahead, Brother Black.
Okay, thank you, sis. Appreciate that. If you want, get at me, you know, behind the scenes, you know, after the show or over the weekend, whatever, and give me a preview so that I can come with it, you know, nice and tight. I wrote an article a few weeks ago. If you want, I can put it in the chat on my blog that Joe Biden was played by a dude named Arthur Roberts, who happens to be from the Bronx. So another Bronx alum. And we know about the cloning and all that. We've seen the movies, we've seen the reports. A lot of people still don't believe it, but it is what it is. There's a lot going on. There's too much to cover at one time. So I'm just gonna say, just be careful. If y'all want me to, I could go in a little more next week with what Sister Keisha asked me to do. And then I have some stuff to say. And but, you know, I love y'all, and, you know, y'all keep up the great work, Sister Brooke. Go harder. I love it. And do your thing. Real talk. I'm not joking. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm being straight up serious right now. So continue with all the great works. Get that FBA money, and let's get it. Peace. See y'all next week on the bridge. One love.
Yes, indeed. Brother Divine, your final thoughts and commentary. Let's get the folks up out of here.
Yeah, man, I'm so pleased that you went in this direction. That was the book I was showing earlier. It's one of the first books that I read in this fight. Is My Face is Black is True by Mary Frances Berry. She was also the woman in the clip you showed. She's the author of this book about Callie House's life. And I think it's a must read for anybody in this space doing any type of reparations work. Obviously, activism or activist work in general, but especially on this topic of reparations, because growing up, due to the religion of Pan-Africanism, we were told that Marcus Garvey was one of the greatest organizers that ever lived for Black people. I know y'all have heard that before. And it wasn't until I read this book that I understood that was one of the first lies that they told me. See, because Isaiah Dickinson and Callie House is the greatest organizer for foundational Black Americans that has ever lived. Coming out of slavery, she had around 300 to 400,000 formerly enslaved, not only organizing, but pinching their early pennies and paying dues because they believed in the mission that Callie House was pushing forward. And what was that mission? See, this is important to debunk the lies of Pan-Africanism. Callie House's mission was to stand on the fact that foundational Black Americans are citizens of the United States of America and are owed and are due our just deserts because we are citizens that this country allowed to be enslaved. That was her claim, that we had the right as citizens to petition the government for the taxes on the work that our people produced. And her pension plan, right in line with foundational Black American culture, was to serve the elders first. See, that's something that a lot of people don't know about her work. There was a rollout, and the elders were to get first. Even though she had 6 kids, 5 who survived, she still understood that that's who was supposed to be served first by her work. And yes, it is a very sad story. I'm not even going to hold you, Sister Brooke. But it's one that is necessary. And she was charged largely because Isaiah Dickinson, he dies before she does. And so that is one of the sacrifices of this work, unfortunately. And I love the way Sister Keisha put that. They did it so we don't have to, because that's something that I say all the time. And her saying that just hit me. Because I always say Hove did that, so hopefully you won't have to go through that. And you said it in this on this bridge today. Like, yeah, I didn't do it, but I can stand strongly on it because I know that they did it. And that's so powerful because we're in this work doing things that those that come behind us are going to be able to stand on long after we are gone. Because like Brother Taz said, none of us make it out of this thing alive. And right now we're standing on the foundation that Callie House and Isaiah Dickinson said. And Sister Keisha said something else that was real, real profound. I don't even know if she caught that. Is that a lot of the people that joined the Garvey movement came out of Callie House's movement. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because again, even when it's indirect, it is the system of white supremacy empowering the religion of Pan-Africanism. You want to know why Pan-Africanism and Garvey looked so good and delicious coming off of the Callie House movement? Because everybody knew she wasn't a fraud. Everybody knew those charges were bogus. But what do you do when the country that you know owes you what it owes you jails one of your own that chose to stand up? Looking outside of the country you built, and your birthright starts to look even more attractive than it ever would have if Callie House's claim and her case gets the justice that it deserved. And so that's why if Garvey gets elevated in 1920, after the case in the 1915s, I believe, doesn't work. They're like, well, if this don't work, what do we got? And here comes the charlatan. I got the answer. We got to get up out of here. But here's the power of foundational Black Americans. What we know in hindsight is even with that backdrop, even with that framing, the overwhelming majority of us have never gone or subscribed to we got to get out of here. We all stood on the same fight, knowing what the consequences could be that Callie House stood on. Since then, and this is why I did much of the work with this book and did this research, because here's what I found, and this is why I stand so strong on what we stand on. I know I'm on the right side of history. Is because from Callie House to the U.S. Freedmen Project, reparations has always been lineage-based.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the whole kit and caboodle. You don't get the distortion of what reparations is and who it's supposed to go to until that other charlatan in that documentary shows up. It's not until Ron Daniels and the Cobra conglomerate, that cabal comes into place, that you see this conflation of foundational Black Americans and people of quote unquote African descent.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that is not a mistake, because even one of Garvey's most staunch followers, Queen Mother Audley Moore, I said this before on this bridge, she had two organizations that she set up, one for the diaspora and one for the descendants of slavery, where she advocated separately, and she was one of the most staunch of the staunchest Pan-Africans. That's where the Queen Mother gets goals from, because I think she got it in the naming ceremony, or she went over to Africa and got that name in the naming ceremony, if I'm not mistaken. And so this is the legacy that we stand on, the Callie House legacy of reparations for us, our people, and our people alone. Pan-Africanism came in and tried to prostitute it out and turn it into something that was for everybody with melanin. And that's why it's even disrespectful for him to be in that documentary, because he's the one that took it away from its original roots. And I'll land on this, because this is the last bit of disrespect, and this is something that we have been talking to, just for full disclosure and transparency. We talked about it. We've talked about this with the Biden administration, and we've also talked about this with the Trump administration. So we will see if there's any movement forward. But the U.S. Freedmen Project is currently working to get Callie House pardoned, because she's still not pardoned for that crime. And the Biden administration just finished pardoning Marcus Garvey. Through the advocacy of the same Pan-Africans that are telling us we need to share reparations with people of African descent. But you forgot to fight for Callie House like you fighting for Garvey. And I'll land there.
Sister Brooke, final thoughts and commentary. Let's get the folks up out of here.
Man, when President Divine talks about the white supremacists laying foundations to try to make us feel as if we don't have a stake in this country. You see them rinse and repeat this all the time. It's when Keisha was talking about a few programs ago, when she was talking about the crack epidemic. They flooded our communities with drugs so that our view of ourselves would be tarnished and we would look to something else, which is how we get the Negro burial ground name changed to the African burial ground. You just see this pattern over and over. Even today, they are attempting to make us feel unimportant, to make us feel that what we're doing isn't working, to make us feel that our efforts are in vain by extending this farce of a reparations commission for 2 more years, subjecting us to continue to go to these hearings and say and tell them in their faces that it's a farce and it's unconstitutional. They're doing it by putting people like Salages, who does not have a dog in our fight, whose ancestors' blood has never touched this soil, much less this soil being drenched in it, by sending people like her to stand in the way of our birthright. We cannot, no matter the outcome of this legislative session, we cannot and we will not let that separate us from our birthright. We will not let that make us feel, we will not allow that to make us feel as if we are not tied and rooted to this country, that we are not the foundation, that we did not build, that we are not the basis and foundation of American culture. This may not be an easy fight. We may have to take time to mourn, as if like I did earlier with, hearing the story. But one thing that my godmother always says about me, she dropped those tears, she wipes them off, and she keeps on fighting. And that's what we have to do. We keep on fighting. Now, y'all are men, so y'all may not drop no tears, but we can't let this make us feel discouraged. We can't let this make us stop what we're doing. We're going to continue, and I want to remind us that it took the AAPI 10 years, and it took the MENA group 20 years. Right, President Divine? Okay. I listen when you talk. It took them 20 years. So we, regardless of what happens this legislative session, we are ahead of the game. It may feel away, but we are ahead of the game. And I just wanted to also say this one thing. You guys were talking about the UK and civil rights, and I just wanted to point out how closely tied, because isn't that where Garvey fled to? Yeah, because he didn't even go to Africa, which is interesting. He went to the UK. And I don't think we as Americans, as Black Americans, are aware of how closely tied UK civil rights are to what we do here. Around the time of George Floyd, because of what was happening here, the African British and the Caribbean British received more programs and, set-asides, opportunities because of what we were doing. Look that up. There were articles written about it. I remember reading them because, you guys know I'm a nerd. And then when they started rolling back DEI, They started rolling back a lot of those programs over there as well. So even where Marcus Garvey fled to, he did not fight over there. What did Marcus Garvey accomplish in the UK for people of, since you guys want to call it people of African descent in the UK? What? Nothing. Because he didn't have us. He didn't have Callie House's legacy to stand on, steal, and co-opt. And so I just want to leave that with us. Send those emails. Just send those emails. We're like, I don't even know what to say more that I haven't already said. Just keep sending the emails. We can't stop what we're doing, even though they're trying to stop us. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna wait. Go ahead. What's that? What's that, Keisha? What's that?
Nothing. You just mentioned Garvey. You said where he was. You know, he said we are the best. That's what I was. He said we're the best. Not the Jamaican, not the African, not the European, the American Negro. And for people to defer to his American brother, that's what he said. I ain't saying, but go ahead. I just wanted to show that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when they tell us how great Marcus Garvey was, he was only as great as the people in his organization or the people that he was able that donated to him and propped him up, and that was us. Because he could not duplicate that anywhere else on the globe.
And that's a fact.
Because we weren't there.
All right. Sister Brooke, I do want to say that we men do cry. You know, we just don't really have the time to. We just wait till the fight is over, then we go home. Right? Am I wrong, Brother Divine? Brother Blacksmith? You cry sometimes, right? I know I do. And Brother Divine, the reason why Callie House is not mentioned because she's not on a Scam African syllabus. Because I'm learning some of these things here, you know, on this platform. So, you know, I'm always a student. And I definitely appreciate you all, as well as our viewers, you know, everybody in the chat, everybody on the playback gang. We truly appreciate y'all. Like this. If you're new, subscribe to it, share it with your friends, share it with your B1 group, you know, share it. Let's get this information out there.
Word.
And hopefully you were inspired by something you heard here today. It's your turn to go out and inspire others. So y'all stay up, stay blessed, stay true, and check me out on the OG Wisdom podcast every Sunday at 2 p.m. Me and my brother C. Gutter and our sister Keisha, we keep this thing going. More on the hip-hop entertainment side, you know, just to put our consciousness onto what the rest of the family is doing, and give us some proper context on why we should move away from that. You know, giving it the OG wisdom. Sister Keisha.
Y'all stay safe and stay dangerous at the same time. Tell somebody to tell somebody. It goes down every week right here on the Brooklyn Bridge. And let's not forget, next week, as we begin the month of June, we celebrating Juneteenth early. All month. Juneteenth and Black Music Month. So we got a lot to discuss. Get ready next week for more historical facts. Stay true to each other. Send those emails. You need you. Send them emails. Brother Black will be ready next week. I'll see y'all. We out.
On the Brooklyn Bridge tonight, voices strong, knowledge tight, thorough black talk in the air, changing minds, changing flair. From Brother Tad to Sister K, warrior warriors got things to say. Sister Marcy brings the heat. Brother Blacksmith keeps the beat. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Thursday nights the world will see Black Power media on a spree. Facebook, YouTube all aligned. Breaking free from every bind. Social talk and politics. Every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true. For the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they fly underneath the open sky. Every word's a call to fight. Tune in, feel the ancestral light. Social talk and politics. Every voice breaks through the matrix. Commentary raw and true. For the many, not the few. Revolutionary waves, they